So welcome back everyone, Showtimedr. So this video is going to be about your friend unit, what makes a good friend unit, how to know which friend units are going to be good for what you're running, etc. So get into that here. So what happens with friend units is the support unit is going to actually be right here, and a lot of people actually neglect this. So you need to, of course you're going to have your unit. Your unit's going to have on whatever skills and whatever spells, passives, etc. that you have on your character currently. So it's a nice common courtesy, you know, at the end of your play session. Okay, I should go back to the optimal thing to help my friend units. You can be useful there now. Also, the arc down here is going to be different from whatever arc you have up here learning. So in this case, I got Skyship down here. Whereas I'm actually learning the skills from Holy Flag, so I can get Ale of Honor, rather, for my, my dying here. But, you know, this is going to go ahead, it's going to do the automatic barrier, which grants dodge to stat debuffs, and then a little bit of a damage amp as well. Now, honestly, I have been going back and forth on this because I've thought about perhaps I should actually go with Pirate Ship. Because Pirate Ship, for those who are running content that's like, say, a little harder than they're used to, you know, it's going to give them 6% off each wave for their skill cooldowns. That could be a really big deal when you get to the end of a fight, you know, the extra 18, 24 seconds cooldown. That might have saved somebody with a clutch interrupt, knockback, whatever, buff. Or there might be extra skills that they could use for, you know, the boss fight, the impending boss fight at the end, or whatever other crazy thing they got going on. And there's all types of choices, guys. There's one of these that basically cuts your spellcasting in half. I didn't actually... Yeah, this one. Well, anyways, it's some... I just forget exactly where. It might be treasure. Special gauge refill speed 50. It'll depend on what you're doing. Wouldn't be terrible, but in this case, though, we're actually going to be going with, for now, I'll just do Pirate Ship just for the amp and survivability. Long clicking, and I shouldn't be. Alright, so anyway, so make sure that your arc's up to date. You know, you got a higher level arc. That's another thing to be cautious of, because even if it's the right arc for what you want to do, a level 1 arc versus a level 4 arc, you might actually consider putting one of the better arcs up. Now, once you got that situated, you're going to have to go into your character and kind of decide. And you see here, I got on the left side of the screen some stuff for magic users here. We'll go over physical users as well as some hybrid builds that are up. But so right now, I'll show you what I have on my dine. This is what I left them with. Now, anything you got that's free, that's a skill you've learned in your passive tree, which, if you don't know what that is, we'll go over that later. You know, go ahead and set it up, because it's not costing you any skill costs. So in this case, we got Nemesis, which decreases mine, which means magic spells are more effective. A little bit of magic regen here. Not even sure if they stack, but whatever. And then Burning Strike, it's a spell there. Little fire spell. Now you see also I've set up Blizzard and Lightning Gauge. Now, for the event that's going on currently, actually the good skill to set up is the Tornado spell. But I don't, unfortunately, have that ready yet. So I'm going for one other skill, which is Fast Orb. Get into that. And then eventually I'm going to go get Tornado. But anyways, and then you got your passives here. So I've elected to do more magic power as well as more mana point. And then Breaker. Breaker is always just a good thing to have in general, because in most cases you are going to break the mob before crazy with all your elite deeps and buffs and all that. Now, there is a caveat to that, though. You can actually get rid of Breaker if your guy is so freaking strong that he's basically going to kill everything before he breaks it. And since the only thing you can break in the game is a boss, unless there's some crazy major raid boss to worry about, In general, because bosses do have anti-non-break low health maneuvers, such as the event boss, which will spam out at a certain percentage, like 15 or so, the AoE stun thunder thing. And I'm sure other bosses are going to be like that, so you're not just going to be able to 100% 0% easily, you know, if you got someone hard carrying you. As we found out in my last video. So, but anywho, I got all these magic amps set up. Now also the killers, depending on, because it's hard to know what your friend units are doing, but if you have an event that you know everyone is farming and it's going to be, it's an undead boss, well, go ahead and throw up undead killer. I'll adjust what I'm offering otherwise, like undead typically. If I had a holy spell here, they're typically weak to holy, so probably get rid of blizzard and throw on holy. And you know, just think about stuff like that for your team or for your friend unit. Now, I'm gonna go into the unlock tree. I'll show you guys what I'm working on. I dine. Should have hopefully the two things I want to have done by the end of the day. Should be streaming this later as well. You see here, and I'll be doing a separate ability circle tree, whatever. I'll be doing a separate video for this overall, but in general, you see what I'm working towards here. I went down the mine tree, got Blaze of the Underworld, which is basically if someone's resistant to fire and Dine's majority fire, do dark damage. But then right now, I need to get 2 more of these so that I can get this. It's just earth resistance, not a super huge deal. But eventually I'm trying to get the fast aura here. Fast aura, for those who don't know, aura is a 20% intelligence. So for your casters, you're going to want intelligence. And likewise, I think brave is the for physical defense. And eventually I've also gotten pretty close to tornadoes. But seeing as fast aura is going to be using the same blue crystals, go on a farming bench for those later. And then, of course, you want to get as much of your primary stat as possible, so caster's intelligence, right here. And then, your physical DPS, of course, they're going to want strength. And depending on what you got going on, you know, mine, not only is it good for healing, but it's also good for magic defense. You got like a crazy tank that you want as a support, like a bruiser. And of course, defense in general, to be honest, is pretty much good for everybody. That's where all the life nodes. Eventually, you're going to want to get there. Although, at first, you want to start, you want to focus on damage, but eventually, you're going to want to get over here and get all these health nodes. And so, we'll go over some of the skills now. You can see here on the left side of the screen. So, Magic 1, 2, and 3, those are flat in percentage totals, just passively. I believe it goes from 2% and max is like 15%. I believe. Like 2's 5%, 3 it's either 8 or 12. We're good. Fast aura, we went over that. Ale of Honor, like I said, I'm studying that right now. Basically, every time you kill a mob with your caster, so trash mob, you're going to get 5% of your mana back. It does stack with multiple mobs, so... Oh, that is another build I have to do. Anyways, I'll do that later. Let's see here. We did Magic Aura. Moonlight, that's a stacking thing. High Magic Chant, that's more in-game. Basically, one of them, I forget which one, is basically something where you spend more mana to deal more damage. I think it's High Magic Chant. And Moonlight's another thing that stacks intelligence. Elemental boost. There's various elemental boosts in the game. From either skill tree or arcs. But like 30% more ice damage, yada yada. Whatever's going on. Now spells that are useful for your friend units here, depending on what they're facing. Healing Winds, in general, if you can fit it in your kit, in general, it's a nice thing to have, because what if the primary healer gets stunned or silenced, have you, or interrupted, when you need a backup, so that's cool. Meter Rain, all of these spells right here, for their various elements, are basically mid-range, mid-level AoE. that you should be able to get to in the game, at least a couple of them within your first days of playing, assuming you're putting time. A Poison Cloud, actually a highly underrated spell, believe it or not. Pretty good. Dark Matter, and then these spells right here, like Crimson Flare, Diamond Dust, Grand Cross, these are the high level, high DPS people that have been playing. I would guess at least a week plus. I guess it just depends how much you grind on people that are just playing this 24/7. But you know, you'll be going over a week, maybe even before you even sniff any of these spells on any of your characters farm-wise. So we're getting to the physical characters now. So physical characters, it's basically the same thing, just with different abilities. So attack instead of intelligence. Fast Brave, 20% more attack. The impacts are basically a boost to regular damage, and they all stack. So there's regular impact, there's double impact, and there's triple impact, and they all stack. So if you got someone like a Robin, Shin, like that, you could throw that on them, and they'll be amping their damage really good. Critical up, that's going to be bonus crit damage. Proud Force, I remember where I saw that, but I believe that's also critical damage as well. I just forget if it was in order or not. Breaker goes without saying. Y'all should know what Breaker is right now. El of Glory is after you kill a mob, you get 10% of the health back of the character. Aim Vitals is a 30% critical damage boost. Really good. Other than in certain people's skill trees, the only place I've seen it is on the Divine God Killer arc, the Shin's arc, and freaking powerful as heck. Blessed Speed, to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if that is like actual move speed or some type of attack speed or cooldown reduction or something like that. But either way, no matter what it is, it's definitely super good because it's been proven, I've seen it. If you have speed on your character, there's speed ores. I'm talking about movement speed now. Your melee character is going to do more damage because in battle, melee characters situate. So, let's say an enemy mob's running this way, well, the melee character's running on an intercept course, and eventually he's going to get there, or she's going to get there, and just start beating the hell out of the mob. Well, if you're faster, you don't have to cut him off to where you're going to hit him here, you could cut him off like here. So, which means, since the AI is always pinballing back and forth between different enemies, that'll basically amp their damage because they'll get more opportunities to attack. Is the thought process there. And then Slayer, any of the Slayers or Killers, if you got Plant Killer and you're fighting plants, you're going to do that much more damage. Not sure the percentages, but from what I've heard, the Killers are at least 50. So I would guess the Slayers are most likely 80 to 100, maybe even more. Just awesome stuff if you can get it for whatever crazy boss mobs you're fighting. Let's see here. Healing Wind, Recast, Drain. Yeah, okay, so these are... Healing Wind is just in general a useful spell for damn near everybody early game, and then you can be a little bit more picky with it later. A Recast, that is... Yeah, that's the one where they cast their spells 30% faster. So if you got a melee and they're not using their mana for whatever reason, just throw it on your caster, he'll get his spells off faster, stuff will die quicker. Drain and Giga Drain, those are defense, minus 20% defense buffs. There's better in the game, but those are actually pretty solid fundamental things. If you got like a melee character, like I actually have a regular Drain on my Robin, because usually I just need it for the boss mob, like one crash mob. Nemesis, it's the same thing for strength, I believe, so it'll cut the physical DPS of whatever you're fighting down. And then Weak. Weak is actually pretty good for some caster units too. It pretty much reduces elemental resistances. You saw me cast it in the last video. So, and then we got a couple things here. Close range physical attackers that use magic. You'll see a lot of characters such as Robin, I haven't seen a Shin caster yet. I've seen a couple other melee casters. They're being built as magic, and you might ask why. I'm gonna do a video on it later, but the short answer is later on in the game, they're gonna come out with different versions of characters. Well, any arc skill that you have learned on those characters will be transferred over to alternative version of it. So if you're learning all spellcaster stuff on a physical, then when you get the one that a little bit more spellcastery, that guy's going to have all those arc skills, and there's no need to relearn them and go through all that farm process again. It's actually a really awesome thing. You still got to unlock their skill trees and then awaken them and all that stuff, but so that's something in the future. I'll go over that more in another video. But so a movable object, casting can't be interrupted because you're closer. Reject decreases rate of attracting attention. Illusion, chance to evade physical attacks. Now, one thing I would couch with this, in fact, let me go here. There we go. Alright, well, they're having server issues. We'll get there when we can. Just kidding, we'll get there now. So, this is a SSR arc, Heaven's Boast Star-Lord. If you look at its abilities, at rank 4, I believe, yeah, rank 4, you get bow equip. The bow equips right here, and then Magalalon, whatever, at rank 10, granted that's going to be a while, but damage dealt is proportional to distance of long-range attacks. So what I'm thinking is, if you were going to build your caster as a, or excuse me, your physical, you know, normally they use swords or whatever, as a caster, you'd probably want to go bows just to maintain that distance. And then also give them like the speed buff or fast, I don't know what they call it, fast move or whatever the hell. Anyways, the aura, pretty much, that would give them the increased move speed so that whenever something's going at them or there's a big AoE or whatever, they're real quick to reposition and get more attacks off, get more spells off. And Magdalene, that's going to do more damage. And I'm hoping that this also accounts with spells as well. Who knows, it might just be physical. But either way, even if it is, your unit is still going to be doing more damage because there is another skill in the game that adds amount of intelligence or magic power to your melee attack. So that's going to turn those units into like god tier ridiculous units. So just something to keep in mind if you happen to have that and you want to build your character that way. Anyways, but that's what I would do, but of course that's all going to take time. So in the meantime, if you got these skills, yeah, go ahead and check those out. MP passives, this should all go without saying by now. And to tell you the truth, Archangel's Blessing, I believe, is the banner. Not sure what Magical Key does. So if anyone knows that one. Banner you. So whenever that comes up, we'll get there. Let's see. No, it's not good. Hardcore. Oh, that's too bad. Skill to skill. Well, basically, I think it's on this arc that's on the banner right now. Archangel's Blessing, from what I've heard, when your character that has it casts their ultimate skill, they pretty much charge up all of the skills that they have. So, like the 1 through pretty much, however many charges. So that can be really crazy because when you do your ultimate, you know, you go through all your skills and you do your ultimate, you got all your buffs on, broken, whatever. And now you got all these skills to either you could play with burst damage while they're broken again, or you could just use it to break them again later on because there's arcs in the game that increase break power on top of, and I'm not just talking about the passive skill that you assign to your characters, there's arcs with actual actives that say plus 100% breaking power depending on how much you got it leveled up. So you could just turn a character into a break machine at that point. Pretty crazy. That's too bad, I really see that. Oh well. Anywho. And then let's see here. Impact, went over that earlier. Dual wield, that is... you have to get rid of your armor in order to wield 2 weapons. But obviously, I shouldn't even have to go into why wielding 2 weapons is such a great thing for your DPS unit. You're going to take a little survivability hit, but you can offset it with other things, like the dodge, all that. Surprise attack, that's a backstab, basically. Damage by 50%, as long as you're attacking someone from behind. Micro that, or if it's a big enemy, you can just sit behind them via World of Warcraft raid bosses like we're at. And after that, yeah, Blessed Speed, that's what I meant to say earlier, movement speed. So we pretty much went over all those, so... oh, my fault, it took me off the one thing. Well, anyways. And as far as building your units, you pretty much just look at what you got going on, whatever the event mob is, look at what they're weak to. If you know that certain people are pushing certain content, there's a new continent, just go ahead, you know, try to build your unit accordingly is all I'm saying. So like most people right now, they're having issues with Blaze Gardens. And even the people I know that have beaten it, they're like, I'm never going back. Which of course, at some point it'll be trivial, but right now it's pretty challenging. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this right now, guys. So, in general, the magic users right now seem to be the better choice, not only as in the farming, but as friends. But I have been told via people that play on the Japanese server, physical DPS comes back because there's a lot of event bosses, raid bosses, that type of thing, where physical is better than magic. Because, you know, they have really high resist, or they just take more damage from physical. It's just more optimal. What have you. Anyways, guys, I hope this video helps you out. If you don't know me, I'm Showtimedr, Showtimedr. This is my YouTube. You can hit like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Currently, I'm playing this game. Finally got a good role on KOF All-Stars. I'm going to start playing that. I'm looking forward to playing Final Fantasy IV Visions in the future, Shine and Beyond, a couple of, you know, as well as some indie and some regular games as well. Off games, I play Epic 7, Knights Chronicle. So that's all there is to know about me. If you feel like joining the Discord, I have a Twitch as well. Check out the Twitch page there in the title info below the video. See you guys later. Have yourselves a wonderful